Jeff and Jeremy. It's like a radiogasm.
I said, hey, babe, check it out on the podcast.
Apple Podcast, Google Podcast,
and Spotify.
All this is going viral.
How do you spell COVID when you're writing about it?
COVID.
But what do you do with how do you do the capitalization?
If it starts a sentence, I use a capital C. Otherwise, it's just a lowercase.
So it's C lowercase O V I D, like a capital C lowercase O V I D.
If I'm starting a sentence,
yeah, I'm just when you're saying COVID,
yeah,
it's got a proper name, so you should capitalize it, right?
It's actually the top proper name is like SARS-22 or something like that.
So I've
COVID,
seen it,
COVID.
I've seen it spelled all different kinds of ways.
I've only seen it spelled that way.
I capitalize every single letter of it.
Oh, it's not an acronym, so why would you do that?
Well, I don't know. I just capitalize every single letter of it. Now, we're giving away something today, which is basically the only kind of haunted house that you can do. It's called Haunted Hills, and it's a eerie drive-through experience down at the Elks in Santa Maria. And we're giving away passes to this today, but in the release, they spelt it, and I think this might be the most proper way to spell it. To spell it, like the scientific way to spell it. C, lowercase o, uppercase V, I, D.
Like it's a cooperative or something.
I don't know.
Or a COVID. I've never seen it spelled that way.
COVID.
Huh, okay. So that's what they're doing, huh?
I mean, but I don't know how you do it. I've seen it spelled every single way. I've seen it spelled with a capital and then lowercase, like you were just talking about. If it's in the middle of a sentence, people sometimes still capitalize it or don't capitalize it at all.
A lot of times it's hyphened with the 19.
A lot of times it's all caps all the way through. And this time, this is the first I'm seeing of capitalized C, lowercase o, uppercase V, uppercase I, uppercase D. Very confusing.
Let's see what Wikipedia says. Coronavirus disease 2019. COVID.
Wait,
all capitals, by the way. COVID, all capitals, -19.
That's what I thought. But these guys are spelling it C, lower O, uppercase VID.
This is SARS-CoV-2. Now, let me tell you how they say this, all right? It's an infectious disease, severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus 2, known as SARS, all capital SARS CoV-2, spelled capital C, lowercase o, capital V, -2. Interesting that you find this interesting.
I just don't know how. Like, it's one of those things. Whenever I write it out, I second guess myself. I'm
but
like,
this really
how
doesn't
am I supposed
answer
to be
it.
writing this?
I think you're supposed to be writing it all in capitals.
So I've been doing it right.
Well, then that means that COVID stands for something. And I know people are yelling at the radio right now. Yeah, you morons. It means this. I don't know what it means. I call it the vid, man.
The reason why this is
the Rona
is the City of Santa Maria Parks and Rec Department and the Elks Recreation Incorporated are collaborating together to do a drive-through Halloween hunt. It's called Haunted Hills. They're going to have fear-inducing scenes, creepy sounds, and scary interactions. The Cowboys of Rodeos Past. That means they're going to have real ghosts at this thing. And relentless equipment come to life for a limited time.
Wow.
We've got your tickets at 8:40 this morning. Now, this is cool. This is like a $30 value. Typically, tickets to this thing are $30 to go through. But we're going to send you for free if you win at 8:40 this morning.
The Central Coast's home for classic rock.
I like the morning show because it wakes you up.
I can wake up laughing. It rocks.
Jeff and Jeremy in the morning on 93.3 KZOC.
Tommy Gong. We're talking about the election again, but today it's important to get the vote out. But isn't that what they used to say, Tommy? Is get the vote out. Today it's important to let everybody know when voter registration day is ending.
Yes, exactly. So this is, the easiest way for voters to do that is to utilize the Secretary of State's online registration portal. There's a link available on our website at slovote.com for voters to be able to access that portal. And it's great because the signature that they might have on file with the DMV office is provided to us for signature comparison purposes. So it's really a paperless system and allows voters to be able to do it at their convenience. Of course, they could fill out a paper voter registration form, which are available at most post offices, libraries, and city halls, but that has to be postmarked by October 19th. It has to show the postmark as being October 19th.
What's your overall sentiment on how people are receiving we've talked to you about it before. I mean, as Californians, a good number of us have been voting by mail for a long, long time. In other parts of the country, this is a new process.
Yes,
how's it being received here with the new, I guess, spotlight on
right, exactly.
vote through mail?
It's been very well received in our county. As of yesterday, we received 43,000 vote by mail ballots. It's been, at this point in time, we'd be lucky to have 10,000 ballots returned. So you can only imagine This is fourfold of the voters who are voting early and getting their ballots in, quickly after they received them. And so, if it continues this trend, this 150,000 ballots that I'm estimating that we'll have as vote by mail ballots, we're going to hit that mark, and that will be, estimating that 95% of those who vote will do it by mail. And so it's really been an eye-opener for us. We've been having to start earlier with our processing, and that was actually a new law through all of the changes for this November election, allowing counties, because we were sending ballots to every voter, that, we have to have more time to keep up with the volume. So they allowed counties to start processing ballots as early as October 5th. Now we're a little later than that, but, with this volume that we received, we can actually not only signature check them, but to begin opening those ballots, preparing them for counting, and actually counting them. So we're starting today by actually putting them through the tabulation system. And of course, we don't know what the outcomes are. We don't press the tabulation report until 8 p.m. election night. Okay. But for us just to be able to keep up with the volume, we've been given the go-ahead to begin processing earlier.
I wonder what this is going to be like, because in the past, the news coverage for election night has always really depended on straw polling, asking people when they leave the facility, who did you vote for? And then they would get an idea of, who was going to win the election early. But once you hit that tabulation button, you guys are going to have massive numbers.
Yes.
That will probably streamline who
the results, right?
Who has won these elections within a few hours, right?
Yeah, well, it's going to depend on what gets turned in on election day. And what I mean by that is we might still have a lot of vote by mail ballots that are actually turned in personally on election day at a voter service center, or they're putting it in the mail. And not only that, with the post office, with all of the changes, one of them is that as long as the ballot is postmarked by election day and received 17 days after the election, so November 20th, then we would be able to count that ballot. It's not so much locally, but it's for the ballots that are coming from across the country, or from outside of the country for like military and overseas voters. So there will be, we won't know until we hit it, on election night at the end of the day, having the idea of how many ballots are remaining to be processed. But if we go at this rate that we're getting the number of ballots being processed, we might have many more ballots actually reflected in the results report than we've ever had in the past.
Tommy, I've enjoyed our conversation so much, and I'd like to do you a solid. How would you prefer? Do you want me to wait until the last minute to keep it interesting, or do you want me to get it in now?
I would encourage voters to do it now.
Right.
And the point being is, well, let me put it this way. We do consider vote-by-mail voting the safest option for voters at this stage. They're receiving the ballot at home. They're able to, study the issues, make their decisions, and not be, hard-pressed when they're in a voter service center. And that, they can vote in the comfort of their own home and not be exposed to, other voters standing in line and all of that. And so, and if they made their decision now, then why wait? Go ahead and cast that ballot and get it into our hands so that, we can have a more robust result come election night.
I brought it up earlier. Would you rather us get our votes in now or do it the day of? You said 43,000 people compared to 10,000 people have already submitted their ballots, which is fantastic. I'm imagining that says, hey, listen, we're going to probably have a bigger voter turnout this year than we've had in years, decades.
Yes, I would say so. The record right now is 83%. And I think we're going to eclipse that easily this election.
So what's the deal with these fake ballot boxes we've been hearing? I've been kind of hearing about this in the news. I did hear on the local news here that there has not been any that reported or seen in San Luis Obispo County, but in other parts of California. What do you know about it?
Yeah, it was kind of surprising to see some of these boxes set up outside. And they look very similar to, official drop boxes. And I think that created some voter confusion and, possibly lead to some, concerns for voters. And so it was that was kind of surprising. I had been in touch with the Republican Party. They wanted to offer the service to their members to be able to return on behalf of a voter. That's something that's a new law that came into effect very recently, it used to be that you had to have a family member or a member of your household only could be authorized to return a voter's ballot. But that law changed so that any individual could actually do so. And so they wanted to be able to provide that service to their members. And I don't know if there was a box where voters could actually just drop a ballot into the box without making sure that the authorization that's on the back of the vote-by-mail ballot would be was completed or not. But I visited their office in Atascadero and kind of reviewed the proper procedures just to be sure that everything was being followed according to statute. And they took it to heart, and I believe that that's what's taking place now. They are returning their ballots that are collected to my office, either in Atascadero or in San Luis Obispo, and we're seeing that the back of the envelopes are completed as required. And so I think we're able to have a good ending to this and be able to still provide service to voters, depending on how they want to return their ballot. So certainly they can return at the post office, at one of our designated official drop boxes. They have signage on there that has the county logo and the clerk recorder seal on it. Those are telltale signs to know that this is an official drop box that voters can feel that they're dropping directly into the elections office, or they can return them at one of the voter service centers during the 4 days of voting. I should also mention, in terms of our office here in San Luis Obispo, I have a 24/7 drop box, at the building, at the entrance of the building. And I was here over the weekend, working, and it was quiet in the lobby, and I could just hear, somebody, and I could see people, lining, not necessarily lining up, but driving up to the curb and dropping their ballots off. Someone walking their dog, dropping their ballot into the box, and you could hear the kerplunk, kerplunk each time they did it. And it was just stark to see how many people are returning so early in this election cycle.
Tommy, two questions for you. The first one is, with it being a presidential election year, you as the clerk recorder, do you does this make you appreciate years like 2019 and what it will probably be 2021 and probably 2023 as well? Is your job better in those years, or is it better in this year when it's exciting?
That's a good question. I certainly feel energized because of seeing the voters participate, in such large percentages here. All of the work that we've put in, all of the changes that we've been accommodating for, everything has been, almost starting from the ground up with all the changes. And to see the voters who are dropping off their ballots and the numbers that are coming back, and really voters show a lot of appreciation when they're dropping off their ballots. It's really rewarding that way, that all of our hard work is being put to good use. But it will certainly make me appreciate those off years even more so. So it's a little bit of good on both ends.
All right. Well, stay hydrated, whatever you do.
And one quick question: are you the Tommy Gong that wrote the book, The Evolution of the Martial Artist, this Bruce Lee story?
Yes, I am that person.
I did not know that.
That was published in 2013, and it was a labor of love. I was a huge, Bruce Lee fan growing up, and I was fortunate enough to train with people who had learned from Bruce Lee, and I was just part of that trend, and now I'm part of the legacy of keeping his legacy going on throughout the world. And so it's just really exciting. That project was a 5-year project of starts and stops and all of this.
So I'm guessing you're a big fan of Cobra Kai then.
I haven't watched that yet, but I gotta watch it.
No,
I heard.
I don't know if you should.
It'll make you so mad.
I don't think you should watch it.
That's so funny.
That 5 years of labor of love, you'll be like, "What is this?"
That's funny. But yeah, I was able to get it done, and it was, even when I read the book today, it's just amazing. I was like, wow, I did all of that. So it's really. I gotta
check it out. It gets really good reviews on both Barnes and Noble and Goodreads too. So it's available wherever you get your books, probably Amazon and Barnes and Noble and all that stuff. You want to check it out?
And if they get one, I'll be happy to autograph it for them.
All right, great.
We'd like to
take you up on it.
That for sure, man. And lastly, but not least, remember slovote.com. Slowvote.com is the website to get registered. The 19th is the day. And if you're looking for where you can vote in person, it's changed this year. You're not going to be going to your normal precincts, but there are different locations where people can go vote in person, and that is listed on the website as well, right, Tommy?
Yes, and the one thing is that they can go to any of those locations too. There's not an assigned location to go to. They can go to any of the locations depending on where they're at during the 4 days of voting.
All right, buddy. Always appreciate your time. I can't wait to see the book, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you very much.
Take care. There goes Tommy Gong, our county clerk.
Subscribe to the Jeff and Jeremy podcast now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and YouTube. It's your Central Coast commute-friendly podcast.